Hello, you gorgeous people, and welcome back to another episode. I am rolling solo, if that is the saying, going solo, maybe, in today's episode. And I'm really looking forward to it because I'm going to be doing a slightly different episode where I'll plan on telling you parts of my story as to what got me to where I am now, and a little bit of a background, because I don't think I've really dived into this on my podcast before. I've shared elements of my story over on my Instagram, but I'm really keen to share with you a little bit more about me and what I was doing before I was a coach, but also what led me to do the work that I'm doing today. So I am recording this from my home in London. It is a very strange day today. It's sort of cloudy, sunny, rainy, very mild, but we are very much midway through October. So who knows what's going on? I started off my morning today with one of my absolutely favorites workout classes, which is a sort of, it's called Reshape. It's a combination of HIIT, where part of the class is using weights, so focusing today on abs and arms, and then the other half of the class is on a treadmill. So sprinting, incline, it's a dark room, it feels like you're in a club, but it's 7 a.m. in the morning with people wearing workout gear. And I'm not going to lie, that is honestly, it gives me so much energy. I love it so much. The teachers are super inspiring. The music is always banging. It's just a chance to like go into this crazy little world where you're sweating, you're feeling good, the endorphins are going. The whole experience is just fab. I mean, it costs a lot, let's say. I mean, what is a lot? But it's honestly something that just brings me so much joy. So if you're ever in London, it's called One Rebel. I couldn't recommend it more. They also do spinning. I actually did a spinning earlier in the week as well. So as you can see, I'm low-key obsessed, but we move, that's where I'm choosing to spend my money, and I love it. Anyway, that's not why I'm here today to preach about One Rebel. I feel like I could be a secret brand ambassador. What I'm going to be talking to you in today's episode is my story. The moment that things changed, the time when I realized I needed to do things differently. I was feeling utter unfulfillment and dissatisfaction with my day-to-day. And I just had a thought that there's got to be something more. There's got to be something better. This isn't my life for the next 40 years of my corporate life. So rewind back to what would have been around December 2019, I'm going to say. December 2019. So far before the pandemic. And it was a grey, cold day in London. I was in the office at my then corporate job, working for an FMCG marketing agency. And my role there was to design and implement marketing campaigns for a number of global household brands, of which you will know many. I'm not going to mention any names just because should anyone that I ever work with listen to this, I'm not outing anyone, it doesn't matter, but they're global household brands. And I remember always describing my job as fine, how's your job going? Oh, it's fine. What have you been up to? Oh, just this, that, etc., etc. Anyway, it was fine. And I just remember having this thought of, gosh, people just go around saying that everything's fine. Is that not a bit flat? Is that not a bit meh? Anyway, I was one of those people. So it was fine. And on this grey, cold day in London, when I was sitting in the office wearing my coat because it wasn't warm enough, and I got this call from a client of mine who I had a fairly good relationship with. She was based up in Manchester. And I remember picking up the phone and immediately sensed this stress. She was frustrated. She was annoyed. She was raising her voice to me down the phone, acting like something horrendous had just happened. And I felt this immense panic. That feeling when like your heart drops, your body temperature suddenly like shifts significantly, And I just remember having this pit of my stomach feeling of, oh my goodness, I've done something awful. You know, like what have I done? And immediately my mind was racing on all of those disastrous potential possibilities. Had I messed something up? Had I emailed a client confidential information? Had I deleted important files? Had I accidentally deleted the whole campaign? My mind was just whizzing at 100 miles per hour. And it's funny how the mind does that, right? How we automatically think the worst, or I used to think that way anyway. A lot has changed since then, let's put it that way. But there is the tendency, the way that our brain is wired, to think the worst. Anyway, it soon transpired that there was a delay with some of the printing element of the campaign. So a lot of what I did was digital, it was in store, it was on the radio, it was in the underground, it was mobile phone advertising. But this element of the campaign that supported the campaign that I had designed and implemented, which I had no control over, by the way, because this is a different media partner that managed this element, they were running late, which would mean that the campaign would go live a day late. Now, initially, I felt relief. I almost felt my shoulders relax and like sink back in my chair. And I was like, phew. Then I was perplexed because I was like, why is this client shouting at me down the phone? And then I was feeling myself getting annoyed and angry because I was at the receiving end of this slight mix-up. But it was in that moment that I had a sudden realization that there's got to be more that I could be doing with my life. Now, it sounds dramatic, but it really was as clear as that. I just had a moment to myself where I thought, I am not emotionally connected to this. I don't really care that it's going live a day late. Bearing in mind, it's a cereal brand for a supermarket campaign across the UK. There was no sense of passion, no sense of connection with that work that I was doing. And it really gave me this awareness that I desired to be doing something that truly lit me up, that would provide positive impact and that would enable me to live the most fulfilling and exciting life, and that I could get paid for doing this. And it was really from that day, that grey, drizzly, cold day in London, sitting in the basement floor of my corporate office, that the seed for my next chapter was planted. And it also gave me the realization in that moment that the people that I was surrounded by in that office, and the majority of my peers who were caught up in, or maybe I shouldn't say caught up in, who were occupied with a corporate job, really went against so many of my values and passions that I hadn't really given a real time or space to explore properly. I'd got caught up in following the well-known path of university, corporate job in the city, because I believed that the corporate jobs in the city were the most successful jobs, and that's where one could earn the most amount of money. And if you earned more money, you would be more happy, more fulfilled, more successful. Oh, how different things went. So I came back from the office that day and immediately I began looking into other avenues, into qualifications, into diplomas, into courses, all within the health and wellbeing industry. I've always been interested in health and wellbeing, but much more from a physical point of view. So I've always been sporty. I've always loved doing, team activities. I've done a couple of half marathons. I've always been played tennis since I was tiny, swimming, skiing, etc. So I thought, okay, this is what lights me up. This is what I'm excited about. And it's positively contributing to an individual and to sort of the wider community, as it were. So I was desperately trying to find something that I could see myself doing as a career. I was scrolling through pages, reading blogs. I then turned to Instagram and started searching on Instagram, looking at things like nutritional therapy, at counseling, at nutrition, that sort of thing. And then I remember coming across a woman's page on Instagram who described herself as a life coach. That was it. And I was like, oh, what's this? I'd never heard of life coaching before. I loved her feed. I could really relate to her. She was young, probably about 5 years older than me. I could see that she was based in London. And she was talking all about how to fulfill your life's purpose, how to feel more connection with your day-to-day, how to experience greater joy in your life. And I was like, this is speaking to me. And I got excited. I got like that tingling feeling of like, have I just discovered something that not many people know about, that actually people are doing as their career? So I sent her a DM. I sent this lady called Sophie a DM, just asking to find out a little bit more, asking how she got into this space, what her journey looked like, what qualifications she had, and she sent me a voice note back the next day. And I remember going out, leaving my office at about 11 o'clock, where I'd go to the little Sainsbury's down the road. For those of you that don't know or don't live in the UK, Sainsbury's is like a grocery store. And every day at about 11 and 3, any opportunity I could, I would make up an excuse that I needed to get some water, get a snack, get a drink, check my Instagram, and she had sent me a voice note. And she was super generous with her time. She told me about the journey that she'd gone on, about the burnout that she'd experienced. And I could so deeply connect and resonate with her journey. She had such a similar journey to me. And I just knew that I was onto something. All because I reached out to this lady. I'd actually reached out to a couple of the other people as well that I was now chatting to in the DM. And fast forward 3 or maybe 4 months later, I actually joined her group mastermind, which was for women who wanted to grow their coaching business, who were either still in corporate 9-to-5s or who had just left. So really, really new entrepreneurs. And it was such a strange concept for me in that time that I would invest what was around $5,000 at the time into a 4-month program that would be the start of the next chapter of my life. And it was really from that moment that I was on my way to setting up my own business. So that was in December 2019. January 2020 was very much about the implementation. And then this program started in February, this mastermind. And it was just incredible. I'm not here to tell that story as much, but the story that I think is really important is the action that I took, the desire to pursue my passion, the commitment to discovering a life where I could be fulfilled financially, energetically, and spiritually. Although at the time I had yet to open up into my spiritual part of me, which is now such a big part of my practice, part of my work, part of what I teach my clients. But at that time, I hadn't yet discovered it. So moving forward to September 2020, I was still working my corporate job, but I had set up my business. I had completed the mastermind. I had set up my website. I'd set up my Instagram page. I'd began practice coaching. I had enrolled in my internationally accredited transformational life coaching qualification, which is an absolute mouthful and a half. And I was well on my way to being a fully qualified coach with over 30 hours of practice coaching under my belt. And I was building this up alongside my 9-to-5 because I wasn't in a 9-to-5 that was overly demanding on stretching of my time. So it really enabled me to put that time in. Should I mention, actually, how could I forget, that when would it have been? March, April time of 2020, I was put on furlough because of the panicotta, aka the pandemic. So this really was such a huge blessing. I almost couldn't believe my luck. So not only was I already on my way to setting up my coaching business, I was now given, I think in the end it was about 6 weeks. So not a huge amount of time, but a great amount of time to treat my coaching business as my full-time business whilst getting paid on the furlough scheme. I mean, really my stars aligned, and it was just the most fortuitous timing that I'd already laid those foundations. I already was building up some momentum, but I now had 6 to 8 weeks of working full time on growing my business. So moving on to September 2020, this is when I quit my quote unquote safe and stable job, my corporate job in the city, to go all in on my business. A business which I had started earlier in the year as a casual side hustle, created from a place of deep unfulfillment and disconnection in my 9-to-5. Also a time during a global pandemic where markets were crashing, there was lots of fear in the economy, and I had a mortgage to pay. Yet I truly felt this was my calling, and this was the time to go all in on my business. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because so much of what I did, I now teach the clients that I work with. I took action. I backed myself, despite no one at the time in my friendship circle running their own business. I really was going against what was deemed the normal, safe, stable route. I took responsibility. I wasn't afraid to reach out to strangers on the internet and ask them to share their story. And I made the decision in that moment and on that day that I wasn't going to settle, that I wanted to create a life that I loved, that I also wanted to do work that I felt really connected to and inspired by, and create financial freedom for myself. And it's with this same attitude that I've managed to grow my business to where it is now. A business that has generated nearly triple my corporate salary in the first year of my business. I'm now coming up to, 2.5 years in. So within the first year, I nearly tripled my corporate salary. I have enabled a lifestyle that I can travel with freedom, with flexibility. My fiance and I moved to Cape Town, where we lived for 6 months, taking spontaneous city breaks to other nearby locations, enjoying the beach, the mountains, the fresh air, the wine farms, the most gorgeous 5-star meals, all whilst my business continues to grow. And I knew that this would enable me to go on and help other women to pursue their dreams, and gave me the confidence to encourage, motivate, inspire other women who were in similar positions to me to open up to so much more in all areas of their life. So by me following my desires and going against the norm, I have now been able to help other women feel empowered to do the same. And one of the most frequent questions that I get asked by my clients now, and by the way, it feels like I've come on such a long journey because I started off focusing more on like confidence coaching, then I moved more into like general life coaching, and now, which has been the case for the last 9, 10, 11 months, is business coaching and lifestyle design mentoring. Now, I can go and talk about this in a whole nother episode, but this has really been where I feel so lit up, because I'm able to share my experience. I'm able to open up my knowledge, or kind of keep refining my knowledge, and see the results that it's helping the women that I work with. So one of the most frequent questions I get asked is, how am I able to grow the success of my business consistently whilst traveling, whilst leaning back from the business without compromising my time, my energy, and my boundaries? So that's one of the most common questions. Another common question or kind of theme that comes up a lot is, how can I work less but earn more? And this, I always like to say, is not people wanting to know how they can lie on the sofa all day and make 10, 15, 20K months, but how can they be more versus do more? How can they experience more flow? How can they create more higher recurring revenue and open up to greater ease in business? And the reason why I think so many women come to me asking me for my support on this is because I came from a place where the first 6 to 10 months of my business was hustling, was working hard, was working through the weekends, was ignoring my boundaries, so much so that it led me to experience burnout, which I always think I can now kind of look back and smile because it was ironic. I left my corporate job that I felt trapped in, that was unfulfilling, because I wanted to pursue a life of greater freedom, with more autonomy, with the ability to travel. Yet I found myself experiencing burnout because of the masculine driven approach that I had carried with me from my corporate career, which is why I then looked into new ways of doing business that felt good to me, which was when I opened up to more spiritual practices and connecting with the spiritual side of things, the mindset work, the journaling, the tapping, the breath work practices, where energy became a core part of my strategy, and where this opened me up to my first 10K month. It was when I was in Cape Town, when I was leaning back from the business more, when I was being guided by what felt good, where I was trusting more in the business that I was creating and committing to living this freedom-based lifestyle that I had set myself up to enable. You know, moving to Cape Town wasn't so I could sit inside and work 8 till 6 p.m. It was so that I could experience connection with a new location, swim in the sea in the mornings, go on trail runs, have the most amazing staycations with my fiance, feel inspired by the blue skies every day, open up to just an incredible world, like culinary world of delight. It really is such an incredible city that offers so much. And that's what I wanted to experience. And by somewhat forcing myself to go out and enjoy these things, to fill up my cup, to feel energized, my business took off as well. And that's when I knew, or began to realize, just how powerful our energy is, and how energy has to be a core part of our strategy if we want to create consistent results, open up to more abundance whilst we lean back from the business. And I've shared that story. It's what I talk about in so many of my programs, with my mastermind, with courses that I've created. You know, at the moment, I am in the middle of Success Code Portal, which is a 10-day portal showing female entrepreneurs how they can lean back from their business whilst earning more. And that's because I made it a mission it became a quest of mine to really understand energetics in the business. And that's what I teach my one-to-one clients. That's what we dive into, their unique energy, their unique desires of creating a freedom-based business, so that we can create the business that is thriving, that is successful, that is fulfilling, and a lifestyle that they love. And what I found is a lot of people want to know the step-by-step strategy. But what I realized after trying this myself and then getting burnt out was that until we find our own unique strategy, until we learn how to master our energy, the success that we desire and that are capable of achieving won't come. Or it will come, but it will feel hard and will only reach a certain threshold. A lot of my clients at the moment are around that 5K month, and they're hitting 5K, but it's not necessarily a flowy 5K. Or they've been on 5K for the last few months and they can't get to that next 10K and above. And so really the last year or so, I've had to commit to building up my confidence in moving forward in a way that goes against what the book says, that goes against the masculine driven way of the processes, the strategies, the sort of replicating other people's launch plans. And really since the beginning of my business, so much of it has come down to confidence. You know, the confidence to show up consistently, to lean into failure, to keep showing up on Instagram despite what people around me were saying, to share my thoughts on my social media pages despite being the only one in my friendship group to set up their own business. And despite not seeing the most incredible results that I had hoped I would from the start. All of this requires confidence. And with that confidence, I've been able to find a way of doing business that feels so good to me and build a mindset that says it is possible. It will happen. I will create the success I desire. And I have had a belief from day one that I still have this day that I would create a global business and get paid for it. And all of this mindset that I've done, all of this confidence that I've built up has led me to creating a successful business with global clients that is financially so freeing, where I'm generating 5-figure months consistently and still traveling the world. And what's so incredible is that now that is exactly what I am helping my clients with. Not just growing a freedom-based business, but also strengthening their confidence, building a more abundant mindset, blending in energetics in a way that feels so magnetic and exciting, so that these clients of mine can lean into more ease, so they can experience greater freedom, all while living their best freedom lifestyle. And that's exactly what feeds the content within my coaching containers, my programs, my live experiences that I run. This is why I created my mini mind, the 3-month Freedom Way mini mind. Notice that it's called the Freedom Way, which, by the way, if you're interested and you're listening, you're thinking, oh, I want a little bit of this. We start the next cohort in January. The first cohort is live at the moment and it is amazing. We have so many expansive and up-leveling thoughts, because the women that are drawn to this type of mini mind are those who desire more. They desire to up-level, create more freedom whilst their business grows from strength to strength. So the super early bird pricing is now available, by the way. You can see full details on my website, nicholacharlotte.com, Nicola Charlotte Coaching. I will leave the link in the description below. But the super early bird for January start date is now open, and it will close at the end of the month. But in this, I teach how to blend the strategy with the energetics and the mindset work. And this is what enables my clients to grow to 10K months and beyond, whilst also having the freedom to travel, whilst also feeling more connected to themselves, their partners, their friends, and whilst trusting more in what it is that they're creating. The same principles and focuses apply within my private coaching containers. So these are really for women who are ready to have it all, because this is what I set out to achieve way back when in, beginning of 2020, where I had this realization that I don't want to wait until I'm 40 and earning 100K to then live my best life. I want that now, and I deserve it. We all deserve to have that all now. And because I made that my mission to go after my definition of success and make this a non-negotiable in my life, that's when I was able to open up to financial freedom and a life I loved, and loving relationships, and time for friends, and self-care, and travel. And that's exactly the type of woman who I now support in my one-to-one containers. Those women who are ready to invest in themselves, commit to a more expansive and rewarding and colourful, rich life. And that's what we do. That's what we achieve. That's what I am working with my clients with every single day, to get them to that version of success and beyond and beyond and beyond, because success keeps evolving. We hit the goals, we set new goals, but we take time to savor the goals, to notice how we feel, to nurture our energy, to lean back, to enjoy being in the present as well. So if you're interested in more one-to-one support, then send me a DM and I can figure out what program is going to be best for you, see where you're at, and get you started. So anyway, that's how it all kind of brings me back to where I am now, because the journey that I've been on, the journey of self-discovery, of putting in the work, of experiencing burnout, of moving more into a feminine way of building my business, whilst also traveling, whilst also earning more than I ever have before or in my corporate job, I'm able to help the women in my one-to-one world do exactly the same. So reach out, let me know if any part of this story resonates with you. I would love to hear. Send me a DM on Instagram at Nicola Charlotte Coaching. And don't forget to check out the show notes for the link to the Freedom Way Mini Mind, the link to my one-to-one application, and also just to connect. I would love to hear from you, and please do share your story with me. I always find them so inspiring. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Let me know if you'd like more episodes of this style. Next week, we'll be joined by another wonderful guest, speaking all things online courses, passive income, and evergreen models, which is a real gem for creating more freedom in your life. So if that sounds like a bit of you, stay tuned for next week. And in the meantime, I'm sending you so much love, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye.